Please, turn off the ad block, subscribe, and share. Links will be below for anyone wanting to support this channel.
Hello everybody, my name is Craig Bennett and I'm the founder and owner of TechViewsNup, and today I am doing a detailed video on Microsoft OneDrive. Microsoft OneDrive, for those of you who've used it in the past, the OneDrive series used to be called SkyDrive. So if you have a SkyDrive account, if you sign into it, it'll automatically be upgraded to OneDrive. So let's jump on into this. In this video, I'll be covering version 2015 build 17.3. We're going to be talking about what is Microsoft OneDrive, how you can use it, and during this we're going to be doing some comparisons between it and its competitors. But keep in mind, if you have Windows 8.1 or Windows 10, this is pre-installed onto your computer. However, it is possible for businesses or schools to take it off by server administration. If you don't have to log in through a server, then you should see it. So if you are at a home computer or something like that, then you should definitely see this if you're using one of the two. If you're using a different version of operating system, there is downloads for that. So let's jump on in. Microsoft OneDrive is a cloud service. What does this mean in a nutshell? The cloud service, it basically allows you to upload files from your computer or phone or even a tablet to the Microsoft servers in this case, and you can access it anywhere from the world as long as you're logged in to your account. So you can access it over the browser, or if you have OneDrive installed on another device, you can access it from there. Keep in mind, the files have to be fully downloaded onto the servers, and you can download them back if they're not, or you can sync them. On top of this, you can use it for backups, and a unique feature with OneDrive, specifically for Windows 10 and certain versions of Windows, is something called fetching. What is fetching? I'm going to show you a little bit of this. I couldn't get it work for my systems, mostly because I'm still working on stuff. And if I could get it working after I get my new laptop in a couple weeks, then I'll show you there. But as far as fetching, what does it do? Even if your files are not on OneDrive and you enable the feature, which I'll show how to do that, you can be on a different computer, go on a browser, or on a phone and go on a browser, and look at files on the computer that you enabled as long as it's on, and you can grab files as needed. This means that, say if I am on a trip and I leave my computer home, as far as the desktop, if it's home and on, and this feature is enabled, and let's say I got my laptop with me when I go on vacation or maybe a business trip, I can go and use the fetching protocol to get files that will be on my desktop, and that way if I leave something behind, I don't have to worry about that, and I'll be able to get it in due time. So let's jump on into this. What do you need to do to get OneDrive? Again, if you're on Windows 8.1 or Windows 10, it is already installed. For Windows XP, it's not supported, but for Windows 7 and 8, it is supported. Now, as far as the OneDrive for business class, you do need to download and install that. That's a completely different thing, and I'm not covering it here. On top of this, this does work with Android, Mac OS X, iOS, Windows Phone, and Xbox. Keep in mind that Microsoft owns this and runs it. They also own and run Windows, Windows Phone, and Xbox, along with many other things. This means that those services, Windows, Windows Phone, and Xbox, has many features already built into it, which works directly with this that you will not get from any other service. However, with Mac OS X, it might still be worthwhile, especially if you have a Windows computer, but Apple has its own service that's pretty good and comparable to this. However, again, it might be worthwhile, especially since I don't know the number on the top of my head, and the time that you watch this, the number might change, but well over, at this time, 80%, I think it's closer to 90% of people with Macintoshes has Windows devices and use it multiple times a day. It might be worthwhile to keep this one in mind. I'm also going to talk about Dropbox, which is a alternative. It might be even more worthwhile for you if your primary use is another operating system than Windows. So, as far as this, there is a free and paid version. And I'm not going to get into too much into that, but if we go to plans, we can pull this up. Keep in mind, this can change over time, and keep in mind you do have a free amount of space when you make an account, or if you're transferring your account from SkyDrive. But you can add more to that for free by recommending people and doing a few other things, basically promising that you're going to use it. You don't have to actually use it, but just promise. And by recommending people, if they actually use it, even the free version, they will get more space and you will get more space. You'll find this type of program within places like Dropbox. I think Google Drive also uses it, but it's not as famous there. Now, as far as the paid version, like all the services that I'm going to talk about, it does have a paid version. As you can see here at this time, this includes $2 for 100 gigabytes, $4 for 200, and $7 for 1 terabyte. Or if you have Office 365, you have 1 terabyte. This is very important because unlike many other services, Google Drive, Dropbox, which is the primary ones, you do not have this option. Yes, you can pay for more space, but you can't automatically get it by using another feature. At least it will be limited. I think Dropbox had something, if you got a note phone or something like that in the past, then they'll upgrade your space for like a year. But in this case, as long as you have Office 365, you automatically have a terabyte. Why is this important? Well, if you're in school, at least in a first world country, United States, UK, Germany, Canada, and so on, chances are is you're going to be using Office. This being Office 10, 2013, 2016, or 365. Or if you're in business, you will be in a similar situation. Now, why is that important to note? Well, if you have to use this stuff, you might already have access to this. Keep in mind that this only applies to Office 365 and none of the others at the time. And it's also important to note that at this time with Office 365 policies, if you have it, it will automatically upgrade you to the newest suite, but it is a monthly to yearly to a bi-yearly and so on pay scale. For me, I have a student account. This means I have my own personal account, but because I'm in school and I could prove that I am in school, which is not that hard, I automatically can pay every 4 years 60 some odd dollars. I think it's like $69 for every 4 years. If you're not in school, then if you're a parent, there's also options for you. If you're a faculty member at school, same thing there. And if you are a business person, there's options for you, military, so on. In fact, one thing I will tell you right now is, and this may apply to these, I don't know if it applies to these numbers as far as the prices, but if you're in a military, a student, or many others, many cases you can get 10% discounts on Microsoft products. In fact, today I was able to get quite a hefty discounts between military, school, and some other stuff. You have to prove these things, but if you're able to prove it, then you can get it. So, and I might do a video on how to do that in the future. But let's jump on into this. Saying you had this installed, or if you're running Windows 10 or Windows 8.1, what do you want to do if you're on Windows 10? Go to File Explorer. File Explorer is down here on the toolbar at the bottom. It looks like a file. If you cannot find it there, go to the Start, left click it, go to File Explorer, left click it, and then go to OneDrive. And you will be asked to activate your stuff, and you'll be going through a bunch of settings. I obviously have this already done, so we're going to skip over that. Now, one thing I would tell you is I'm assuming that you didn't tell it to sync anything, and I'm assuming that you didn't really mess with the settings too much. So, keeping this open, let's go down and mess with the settings. So what we want to do is check on the toolbar again on the bottom right this time, and look for cloud. If you don't see a cloud, like I don't, click this arrow. When you hover over it, it should say hidden icons, show hidden icons. If you left click on it, you should see a cloud. If you hover over that, that should say OneDrive. The cloud may have another icon. This means syncing can't connect or something else. So that's something to keep in mind, but it should have that general icon. Now, let's say if you don't see the cloud at all, what you need to do is go to the Start again, the toolbar on the far left side, and click the Start button by left clicking. Then go to All Applications, hover over it, and click with left click. And then go to the first number, symbol, or letter that you find, or first one you can get to. So in this case, it's A, or I can do 0 through 9, at symbol, so on. Click that. It'll bring up this list of letters. Click O for OneDrive. Then click OneDrive. This will open up OneDrive. In fact, it will just open up this and it will start up the OneDrive application. From here, find the OneDrive icon as we done before on the bottom right. If it's not over here, then it should be right here. Right click it and then go to Settings. Now from here, sorry about that, I had on up on my other screen. From here, what we're going to do is we're going to see quite a few options. Let me close this one out so I can focus on it. The first one is Settings, General, start OneDrive automatically when I sign into Windows. I suggest keeping that checked, and that way as you're using this stuff, you can actually automatically have the thing syncing, because even if you go to File Explorer and OneDrive, if it's not on, it won't sync. So even if you're adding things into there, and I'll talk a little bit about this in a second, it won't sync. Now, from here, you can do, let me use OneDrive to fetch any of my files on this PC. If you need any more information on it, you can click here. It's very vague, so I'm just going to explain it. How this works is you don't have to sync anything to OneDrive by doing this. Basically what happens is as long as OneDrive is working on the computer is on. You could be on any device, and this includes another computer. Sign into your OneDrive account on the browser of your choice, and you can actually go and fetch files through a PC menu. I will get into this in a bit to show you more into it, and even how to remove PCs remotely in case if you don't have them anymore. But this is a very important thing to realize. Now, as far as this again, I couldn't get this exactly working, and I'll go as far as I can with that. So the next is use Office to work on files with other people at the same time. What does this mean? If we click more information, it'll bring up the browser of choice and also tell us more information about that. Basically what this means is if you're working on a project, so say for example I'm working on a school project with multiple people on a paper, or maybe you're working in a company with multiple people on a Word document or whatever, you can easily see what they're working at the same time as you're working on stuff and get real feedback. Now, there is other services that's been doing this for a bit longer, but as far as which is better, I prefer OneDrive, and I'll explain why in a bit. But the other service that does this is Google Drive, specifically Google Docs. If you give someone else access to a document to edit, and you're editing at the same time, you can leave comments on Google Docs. You can edit and see where they're editing, and even where their mouse is, specifically where they're typing or going to type. This is a very useful feature. I used it many times. However, this is something that's very limiting in itself with the what exactly you can do, and it's going to be a battle between Google and Microsoft, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Competition brings the best out of many companies. With this, however, you use your actual Microsoft Word and stuff like that, and with that you can actually get a real-time feedback. The reason why I prefer this is because in schoolwork I've had Google Docs fail on me multiple times, not on getting people to work together. It's actually trying to convert the file into a document that a teacher will accept. Many times you cannot do it, and you have to use the Word documents, otherwise you can't do it at all. So and this is a situational thing, so it's really up to you. So let's move on and continue down the list. We got unlike OneDrive, and this is as it sounds and reads, it unlinks it. Autosave, it is as it sounds. It allows you to choose where you want to save your documents and pictures. You can say on OneDrive or this PC only. So if I wanted to, I can go and select OneDrive for the documents and OneDrive for the pictures, and it'll go for both. But as far as photos and videos, keep in mind that if you're going to do this, if you got data caps, this might not be the best thing to do. And I'll suggest leave it on this PC only. I got data caps, massive data caps on my stuff, so I'm not going to do this. If I was on a laptop and I was constantly not using my network, like if I was using Starbucks, McDonald's, or something like that, that's one thing. But as far as that goes, if you're using data caps, it might be best just to leave it as this PC only. So photos and videos, automatically save photos and videos to OneDrive. Again, data caps, so that might be best to leave that off. And screenshots, if you're like me and you take a bunch of screenshots, so where I do it for videos and other things, it might be best to leave that off too. So let's move that. So choose folder. You can change the folder performance. You can select that to improve speeds. And about, this gives you the about, and again the version that we're working with. So let's go and jump on into OneDrive. Let me open up the File Explorer, and I'm going to open up another File Explorer. And what we're going to do is I'm going to go to my Documents folder, and I'm just going to move Maps. This is a if you watch my previous videos, I do a lot of networking stuff, and I got a network of my home network on this, so I want to back it up in case my computer goes out. In fact, this is one thing that's very useful with cloud services, is if your computer goes out for whatever reason, fire, flood, or just goes out for whatever reason, your stuff, if it is backed up, it will stay on a cloud service, so you do have a way to get to it. And this has saved me multiple times. So what I'm going to do is click, drag, and drop. And before I drop it, make sure it says move to OneDrive. If I release, then it will go here. And if I catch it in time, you'll see the icon has changed. It's syncing, it's looking for changes, and then it should be done. It's good to go. And you should see a green check mark. Why is there a green check mark, and why is there sometimes not? A green check mark, what that exactly means is the earmark. For those of you who don't understand backup services, if there has been a change, say you go in a Word document and you change something, or say you add something, if there is no earmark, then the cloud service or backup service, you'll find this in business backup services and many others. If it doesn't have an earmark, then it will back it up and give it an earmark, and that way the cloud service or backup service knows not to download that stuff. So basically, if you got say a terabyte of stuff on your folder, I got it full up with a terabyte of information, which is a lot. I don't want to have a terabyte information go across each and every day that I have my stuff up. I don't want to have it trying to go across each hour or whatever, because my data cap will dry up like in 2 seconds. And many of you don't, and that takes a lot of resources and time. So what they do is use earmarks. If it doesn't have an earmark, which means that it was recently added or there's a change, what will end up happening is it will sync the information to these servers. Now you may be wondering, okay, I make a change Does that mean that it has duplicate files on these servers? Not exactly. On many cloud instances, you can get revisions. We're going to get into this in a bit. This is part of the redundancy, as we talked about earlier. But on this, basically what it means is if you already synced, say for example, maps, if I change that, I add something to my network and I need to change that, what would end up happening is the cloud service, in this case OneDrive, will recognize that we already have an instance of maps, and this is the same instance. It's just something's changed. So for whatever reason, the earmark is not there. So what would end up happening is the cloud service will sync that and replace it. Again, many instances will use a revision system so you can get back old revisions, which saved me many times, and I highly advise you watching out for that. Now, let's say that I want to get rid of it from here, and I want to get rid of it from the servers itself. What I can do is right click and go to delete, or I could just move it, and that will take care of that, as long as this is the computer it came from. And that's all you gotta do. Or let's say that you want to encrypt it, just encrypt that file and it's encrypted. Now let's talk about who owns your material, and this is very important to note, especially if you're in certain parts of the world. And also this applies to pretty much any cloud service. The cloud service, at least here in the United States, and keep in mind I'm not a lawyer, things may change over time, so the law may vastly change, but this is my interpretation of things. The cloud service, as far as who owns content that puts on there, it's you. There is a separation between the service, OneDrive, Dropbox, and so on, from the people uploading. However, if they are made aware that maybe you're doing something illegal, then, or something against their policy, then they have full right to go and do an investigation, and many times in terms of service. But keep in mind, they can hand over your information to the police depending on the current laws. So that's one thing to keep in mind. But if it's a paid service legally in the United States at this given time, where I'm paying for my services, the cops in the United States have to have a warrant to do that. Again, that's my interpretation of the law, and I'm not a lawyer, but if you're paying for a service like email or whatever, then cops have to have a warrant. Otherwise, it's like if you're doing Gmail for free, they don't necessarily have to have a warrant. They do have to have a warrant to go through your emails itself, because that's considered as personal identity as far as things that you own. But keep in mind, in many of the laws, it's very, very tricky, very fast, because the one thing you got to keep in mind is for emails at this time, and from my understanding, after 18 months, the stuff is considered as public domain. It's considered as basically you left your mail on the side of the highway. And that's very, very important to note, is this may get into that little gray area. So if you're not comfortable with the government knowing about your stuff, specifically about any given content, don't upload it to the cloud services. However, if you don't care, like for me, I really don't give a care if they have photos of family, if they had documents like the network, whatever. The truth of the matter is there's no way to stop that. And I know too much about cybersecurity to know that there's no real way to stop them. And there's only a handful of things that I really care about, and I know how to stop them from getting those things. But general things, it's just not worth it. School work, music, basic pictures, like landscapes and stuff like that. If someone steals that, it's not like too much of a worry, because it's general information that you probably really don't care about. But it's more personal things. If you don't want the government getting their hands on it, and you're afraid of people stealing it, don't put it on there. Be smart. Use common sense. Unfortunately, that has to apply here. So fortunately, the online portion is a lot quicker. Now that we got this out of the way, what we can do is one of a few things. We can go to, again, the bottom right, click the show hidden icons, right click the OneDrive, and go to OneDrive.com, or you can just type in the stuff yourself. And as for here, I'm already signed in. Now, with this, the one thing to keep in mind is this is going to show a file as far as the folders themselves. I can click into it. So say for example IP camera, I can click in here, go to their folder, and go into the files, and the files are down here and the folders are up here. So if I want to know how to read the stuff, basically what I would do is up here towards the top, I can see the folder's name, how many folders are into it, and go from there. And if I need to change something like how it's sorted, I can sort by name, date, size, and so on. And I can change the look by clicking that. So if that helps you, which it should, then you should be able to figure out how to navigate this portion, which is very, very important. And this is this is more to the layout that you'll get for Dropbox and many other places. So this may be easier because it'll show the folder name, date modified, and other information, how many gigabytes are within it, and so on. Whereas things of this nature, it doesn't show as much information, but it's easier to see what's going on, especially when you get into types and also seeing a little thumbnail of picture or a document. So let's talk a little bit more about navigation. If you click on, if you have folders, if you click on one of the folders, you'll see up here on the top left the home folder, the thing that says files, and the folder that you're currently in. If we can keep going, we can add on to this, as you will see on the files folders. But we can also click on a previous one to jump all the way back. So if we go to IP camera, to mobile software, Android, if I wanted to jump all the way back to IP camera, I can select that. Or if I want to go to mobile software, I can go from there. So as far as on the left side, what do we have? We have the files, recent, and this is recent things that's been added. Photos, which I'm not going to show, but it's just photos. Shared, I don't have anything in this, and recycle bin, which is things you're throwing out. Below here is if you do have the fetch option checked, then you will have PC and name of your PCs to fetch things. Now as far as the top left, the search everything, this searches everything within your OneDrive that's synced. And down here below, you can get more storage or get OneDrive apps. So let's go to the files and show you some of the options with that. If we just select a random file by clicking the little circle right there, we can go to new, we can go upload, share, download, delete, which will say delete that one, move to, copy to, rename, enable. If we right click it, we'll get the same assortment: share, download, rename, delete, move to, copy to, embed, details, and clear section. Now, as far as that goes, if we want to embed, we can embed it into a website. So if I wanted to embed this into my website, I can do that by generate and go from there. Keep in mind, with business version, you'll have more options. Now let's go into the fetch mode, which will be the last thing that I show. If we go to PC area, these are all the computers that are connected to the OneDrive. Some of these I don't have access to anymore, so we're going to be using them. If I click on a PC that I want to go and fetch items from, what needs to happen is the PC needs to be on, and it needs to have that setting that we talked about earlier turned on. I've seen this take a little while to update as far as before the PC shows up, so keep that one in mind. Also keep in mind that this can use quite a bit of data going back and forth, so that's just another thing to keep in your mind. You don't need to use this in order to go in and get things off your computer. There's a few ways, especially if you just want to get files. If you make a dynamic DNS and make a some FTP thing on your computer, you can get it through that. And if it is requested, I'll actually show how to do that. And you can actually do that for free, by the way. But again, you got to deal with data caps and stuff like that, so watch out for that type of stuff. Now let's say that I want to remove a PC. That fetch thing as seen here, it does not work with Windows 8.1. But anyways, to remove one, we just need to click the remove PC, and there we go. Again, if we want to remove it, remove PC and remove PC. That's pretty much about it. Now, if I did leave anything out and you feel like it should be added, or if anything has massively changed and you feel like I should redo this, or if you feel like I need to get more detailed, or if you have a question of any type, feel free to leave that down below in the comment section and I'll try to get to it as quick as possible. Please feel free to leave down below in the comment section what you want the next video to be on. Also, if you want to support us and if you like this, feel free to like, subscribe, share, especially share, and please feel free to check out our Patreon campaign. Now, if you didn't like this, go and leave a dislike, but tell me why so we can fix it in future videos. Again, this has been Craig Bennett, the founder and owner of TechViews and hope you have a great day.